And this morning, economic anxiety growing across the country. Gas prices hit a new nominal record this morning, $4.37 a gallon. This comes as prices for everything from groceries to plane tickets continue to rise. Meantime, the stock market taking a huge hit amidst all the uncertainty.
Today, President Biden is set to deliver what's billed as a major speech on his plans for inflation, a preview suggesting he also plans to attack Republican plans. You know, as these gas prices are hitting this record high, I wonder when you're expecting that's going to ease so that Americans can get some relief.
Well, look, we understand that with Russia's invasion of Ukraine, that gas prices are elevated.
Just to be clear, what's happening with Russia and Ukraine is compounding a problem that was already starting, right? So this is exacerbating something that was already in effect before the war. Former Trump White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett says America is already in a recession. Is it possible he's correct?
So I'm not sure where that comes from.
Cecilia, I wonder, you know, looking back, were Larry Summers and Joe Manchin right about spending and inflation?
So I'm not sure what the right is.
Yeah. So I want to talk about today, because here in a few hours, we're going to see President Biden giving a speech addressing inflation. There are so many Americans who are sour on the economy. What do we expect he's going to say?
Yeah, because for all the talk about what's going to happen with this Supreme Court ruling, one thing that we do know is right now the number one concern that voters have is inflation and the economy, and they don't think it's going well. And so you'll see President Biden come out and talk about what he's done so far, what he plans to do. But look at the reports this morning about gas prices reaching a new high, going up 17 cents just in the last week alone, I believe, in the last several days. And that's a major concern for them because, yes, President Biden released oil from the strategic reserves last month. Prices dipped a little bit, but as we said at the time, and as what analysts were telling us, experts on this matter, it's only going to be temporary and they're going to go back up. And right now we're seeing that. And you're hearing concerns are going to go up even further this summer. And so it's not an issue that's going away for them. And they know that it is number one.
You know, there are those who say, well, I can just run separately, triangulate, or however you want to call it. But for the most part, those who are running campaigns say that the Democrats' fortunes are tied to the president. And the president right now is tied to the economy.
Less than 6 months to go until the midterm elections. The economy is top of mind for American voters, as you likely know, and that is potentially a major liability for Democrats. The economy, number one for most people. Who's getting the blame at this point?
Yeah, it is number one for most people. And you know what? The buck stops here. The buck stops with the president. So if you ask people what's the most important issue, economy, 50%, far and away the most. You ask people, okay, how much is Joe Biden's policies helping or hurting? 55% of Americans say his policies are actually hurting. That's insane. Whose views are you closer to on the economy? The Republicans have a double-digit advantage on that. So if you have a double-digit advantage on the biggest issue, it's not much of a surprise if you look at the generic congressional ballot, who's favored on it.
Next hour, President Biden will outline the steps his administration is taking to fight inflation from the White House.
They know they got to do something. The CNN poll last week found that 50% of Americans felt the economy was the most important issue ahead of the midterms, and a majority said the president's policies so far have hurt the economy. CNN White House correspondent John Harwood joins us now. John, they know they have a problem on the economic issues, particularly inflation. They know this is going to be a big issue in the midterms.
Dominic, gas prices, grocery prices, housing prices, the price of eggs, the price of chicken, the price of food, the price of meat, the price of vegetables, all going up. What sort of economic environment is the president trying to address?
I mean, it's the worst inflationary environment in 40 years, right, Jose? That's the point. Unfortunately, this isn't something that you want to see on your watch, especially if you're the president of the United States.
This morning, Wall Street is bracing for another bumpy ride.
NASDAQ going out with a loss of 4.3%. The selling continues.
With the Dow dropping more than 650 points Monday and the S&P 500 sinking to its lowest level in more than a year. What's driving the market sell-off? Rising interest rates set by the Federal Reserve aimed at stamping out rampant inflation as consumers pay more for food, rent, and fuel.
If you take a look at the way that oil prices are shaping up right now, it was arguably already going higher. It was, even before the war in Ukraine and Russia was going on.
He's tackling the Democrats' #1 midterm problem, historically high inflation. In a speech largely repeating White House talking points, so the national price of gas hitting record highs, historic highs, electricity bills rising, say nothing of childcare costs.
Because we know in the latest polls that we have seen, something that Republicans and Democrats are both paying attention to, the president is not getting good marks for his handling of the economy. The latest CNN poll said that 77% of people believe economic conditions is poor, 23% see it as good. That, of course, is not good news for this White House.
Happening now, U.S. gas prices hit their highest level ever. The latest sign that soaring inflation is taking a very serious toll on the U.S. economy.